Everybody. Welcome to my October risk class. I'm going to be doing a lot of the talking today, but if you have questions, all you have to do is speak up. We did this for the team leads 2 days ago. We're going to offer this a total of 4 times this month because we have to have this done in October. Part of my responsibility is to conduct a policy slash risk class every year. And since it took us a year to redo all of our policies, plus this pandemic, we finally have it in place. So here we go. A couple of things. Kristen is now helping me a little bit with compliance issues, and she's in a learning mode. Don't go to her with compliance questions. They still come to me, but she is trying to help me out a little bit. What really happens is when you ask Kristen or Chris about compliance, they call me, then I call them, then we call you. So that's 3 people answering the same question. So just know that she's starting to help me out. Chris is handling all the day-to-day questions and some contract questions. However, her job is to recruit and maintain the office. Mine is to be compliant and handle contract questions. So all contract questions come to me. Also, keep this in mind. I do sell. I'm actually probably doing more now than I've done the last 5 years. So if you ever have an agent ask for me or ask my name and or my number, feel free to give it to them. It's public information, but being a principal broker, I'm the one some people want to yell at. So if anybody asks for my name and my number, you feel free to give it out. Okay, first things first. I tracked the internet data. This is the data that comes to me. I get it every week. And since we opened 4 years ago, I've tracked the number of hits. This is people looking at our websites and or our listings. And if you go year over year, this year I expected it to drop, but it's actually increased. So we are getting more internet activity. Even though our listings sell in a day or so, we're still getting a lot of activity. So what that's telling me is that the real estate market and or the buyer side of it is in high demand. It's also an indication that the selling season for 2021 is going to be a lot earlier, a lot earlier than you expect. Normally the selling season starts late March, early April. It runs through about July. I honestly think it's going to start like in 3 weeks and it's going to run through about March, hot and heavy. I don't think you're going to see a downturn. I think you're going to see an uptick. The problem is inventory is still low. So just keep that in mind. I think next year is going to be a good year, but it's going to be good quickly, really quick. Just one other little thing, and then I'll get into the policies. A couple weeks ago, there was a case of wire fraud, not with us, but with another real estate agent, that in a matter of minutes, the email came and it was a change of account numbers. And it was so slight that nobody caught it. However, that buyer wired out $102,000 and it's gone. It's totally gone. So when you get ready for closings, you need to tell your clients that we, Keller Williams Premier, and you do not ever give out emailed or wiring instructions of any kind. We just don't do it. And before they wire their money, they should be on the phone with the title company at the bank and letting the bank and the title company handle it. That 102 grand is just gone. So there's no way to even get it back. It happened that fast. Okay. You're going to get copies of my notes today. You're also going to get a copy of this map. This map is our normal working area. even though we can sell anywhere in the state of Ohio, our E&O coverage probably will not come into play or cover us if you go outside of our normal marketing area. The reason is it's considered malpractice. So to give you an idea, if you were to sell a house up in Ashtabula or Beulah, whatever it's called, and you've never sold up there before, I haven't sold up there, that could be considered malpractice, and if something goes wrong, we would not be covered. So we have a 7-county area that we normally sell in, and we have experience in. Between Chris and I and Sue, that's probably going to be expanded out to about 12. But we can honestly say we've sold in before. So when you're out selling houses, try to stay in Central Ohio. And if you go outside of it, before you sell that house, let me or Chris know. Any questions so far? Cool. All right, our new policies. We've got new ones. 9 pages. Nothing really drastic. Just have to go over it.
Excuse me, Tom.
Sure.
Would you like me to send those to them now or afterwards?
Do you have the map?
I do not have the map.
Do you have the policies?
I do.
You can send out the policies.
Got it. I will send it to everybody on this video right now. Look for an email or just pay attention and enjoy the show.
Yeah, it is a show. All right, here we go. You are, let's put it this way. The Division of Real Estate is so backed up right now because of this pandemic and all the funky things that are going on in this world that they're relying heavily on the principal brokers to make sure that everybody knows what to do, how to do, and when to do it. So this is the reason we're doing this class. You are an independent contractor. An independent contractor means that you are responsible for your actions, your finances, and creation of your business. Your primary responsibility is to your client, then to the Department of Commerce, then to the principal broker. Now, if there's an issue or something bad happens, it goes in reverse. The first person that gets involved is me, then the division, then you, and then your client. So just remember, you're an independent contractor, you're financially responsible, and you need to take care of your clients. You always have to work in the best interest of your client. The role of the administrative staff and the principal broker is to review your files, make sure they follow the guidelines of the Division of Real Estate, and in other words, being compliant. Agents do not practice law. Don't even think of trying to write a contract that's out of your normal sphere of influence. We do not practice law. Okay, associations. We are a member of the Columbus Realtors. I still like to call it the Columbus Board, National Association, and the Ohio Association, and now we're joining half a dozen different other associations throughout Central Ohio. So that means that every one of us that use those services and or join need to follow their guidelines. And the biggest guideline that we are all in trouble for is not closing out our listings on time. I got fined a couple $100. I'm going to take the class on the 28th, and I just forgot to close it out. I missed it by a couple of days, and I got fined $100. So follow the rules. Every agent will owe annual fees to the following institutions, and that is, the first one is the Ohio Division of Real Estate. Just make sure that when your bills come, you pay them. Keep in mind that they are renewed on your birthday. If you're new to this business, it's 1 year anniversary from the day of being licensed, and then every 3 years after your first birthday. So just make sure they get paid, because what happens now is the bills come to me, then I have to give them back to Kristen, and then we have to chase everybody. So just make sure your bills are paid. It is your responsibility to do that. So just keep that in mind. Each realtor will have a monthly brokerage fee due to Keller Williams Premier Realty. These fees include, but are not limited to, tech fees, E&O coverage, showing time fees, dot loop, administration fees, plus an annual $25 fee to Keller Williams International. That comes out, I think, in January. Just make sure that those things are taken care of. If the agents do not make the required payments, the brokerage must return the license to the Ohio Division of Real Estate, and it will be suspended until they are paid. I do not have a choice in that. If the day comes, they're not paid, I have to send them back. So it hasn't been a problem. We just have to make that statement. Continuing education. It is highly recommended by us that everybody attends a civil rights, fair housing, and a real estate law class every year. That is to stay informed of current changes. I take usually 2 of each every year, at least I try to. And I can tell you this much, in this current economic, pandemic, presidential election year, all this stuff that's going on in our world right now, the rules are changing and they're changing quickly. And the only way that you can keep up on it is go to these classes. And 99% of the time they're free. The ones at the Columbus Board are really good. Not to slight anybody else, but that's the one that I really like to go to. But it's a good idea to be up to date, currently up to date on civil rights and fair housing, particularly because those rules change almost daily. It's going to be almost like constant change. Income taxes. We strongly recommend that everybody files a quarterly estimated tax return. You're going to receive a 1099 income statement every year for your earned commissions. I can tell you as of yesterday, the tax laws for 2020 have not been finalized yet because I was checking on mine. So your accountants really don't know yet, but they should know in about 3 weeks. At least my accountant said that. Make sure you have good tax advice because you're an independent contractor. The big change so far is errors and omissions, E&O. Every house we sell has to have E&O coverage on it. And the reason we have to have E&O coverage on it is the worst case scenario. We pay for it. You pay for it, I pay for it. It's there, we're covered. But we're changing carriers because our old carrier is now getting out of that business. So we will have a new carrier with a little bit better coverage. The coverage is available as long as at least $1 in commission is charged, the house had a home inspection, and it is covered by a home warranty after closing. Coverage may not be available if you are determined to have conducted business outside of our service area. That references that map. Or if your electronic file was not turned in to the principal broker and approved prior to closing. That is the reason you need to get me those files. It's real simple. They have to be turned in. And if the realtor is found negligent or guilty and charged with a fine, the agent will be paying 100% of the fine, and the deductible will automatically be charged or taken from the realtor's account on file with us. That's never happened before, but we have to tell you up front 3 things. $1, home warranty, home inspection. Now, if it's waived, okay, and you use the hold harmless addendum, that helps a lot, but just keep that in mind. Commission disputes, I think that's only happened 1 time in 4 years, but that basically will be handled by me, 1 member of the ALC, and 1 staff member. We will follow the Ohio Division of Real Estate Arbitration Guidelines, Article 17 of the National Association Realtors Code of Ethics, and that we will take care of that in-house. So if you have a problem with somebody or there's an arbitration or an argument about commissions, we have that covered. Commission payments. Realtors will be paid on their closing within 48 hours or 2 business days of receipt of the settlement statement, closing check, as long as the file has been approved by me. That's the reason you have to have that file turned in. When I approve it, that's the signal to Kristen to cut the check. Now, the problem is if you walk in today with a closing statement and a check and I haven't approved that file, don't stand there and wait for a check because she's not going to write it. I have to approve the file first. We've had that happen 3 or 4 times this year. Still don't know if we're going to be covered by E&O on them, but it's too late. If you do not get that file into me and it's approved and you close it, that puts everybody in jeopardy. So just get your files turned in. A commission is earned when the successful closing has occurred and the proceeds have been dispersed by the title company or the escrow agent. Keller Williams Premier Realty will not advance commissions on contracts that have not closed or dispersed. We're not a bank. We have to follow the rules too. It's real simple. Turn in your files, turn in the check, you get paid. Excuse me. The realtor's commission can be adjusted by me to pay outstanding debt. So if you still owe for something, I can automatically take it out of the check to pay for it. That's never happened before. Brokers can waive commission and disciplinary actions. So if you sell a new home, make sure every once in a while you go see it and you keep in touch with the client. Just don't sell them today and come back 7 months later and collect the check. You have to do your job and take care of your client. Should an agent terminate the relationship with the brokerage, the broker will continue to pay them based on their commission splits scheduled for all closings after they leave the brokerage. So that's come up a couple of times. We will pay out what we need to pay out based on our agreement. Okay, personal real estate sales. You as a realtor with this company can have 2 what we call free transactions per anniversary year prior to capping on their company dollar. This is for you and not your grandparents, not your in-laws, not your first or second or third cousin. It is for you. You can do 2 of them. So buy a house. Free transaction with a minimum of $1. You still have to collect that $1. In order to have these transactions covered by E&O, you still have to have that $1, the inspection and the home warranty. Regardless if it's for you, if you're going to flip it, you're going to remodel it, whatever you're going to do with it, be covered. You still have to have those 3 things. Are we clear as mud on that, everybody? Just want to make sure. Okay. The 6% royalty fee to Keller Williams International is always paid until it is paid in full. No matter if you buy a house or sell a house, whatever you do, that money still has to get paid. Now, this came up. This was a biggie. When buying or selling a property that you personally own, every piece of advertising, including the sign, needs to say agent owned. You have to disclose every time you advertise on the sign, on the social webs, everything, agent owned. And it has to be on the agency disclosure and it should be in the contract, agent owned. That was my mistake on the house. I thought that the sign didn't count, but the sign counts. So agent owned. With also in that same category, every offer on a house has to be presented to the seller. Every offer, no matter if it's ridiculously low or really bad, everybody has to see or have their offers presented. And the best way to prove it that you did that is to get the agency disclosure signed by the seller. You don't have to accept the contract, you don't have to counter, just get the agency disclosure signed as proof that it was presented. Or you can receipt the bottom of the contract. Either way, you need to be able to, in writing, verify that you presented that offer. I had this happen with my own nephew. We wrote on 7 houses. We got the 7th one, but the other 6, we never received confirmation at all that our offer was presented. If we got confirmation it was received, we didn't know if it was ever presented. So you need to present it, and you need to make sure you can prove that you did it. Any questions on that? That's a hot topic in this state right now. Man, you guys are.
I have a quick question. So you said you have to have proof that it was presented. And so each time just having that agency disclosure is enough to meet that requirement?
Yep, all you have to do is present the contract, have them sign the agency disclosure, and send the agency disclosure back to the buyer broker. That's your proof that you did your job. It's really not rocket science. It's just becoming a real problem throughout the industry.
What do you mean by it's becoming a real problem?
Well, to give an example, we wrote on a house, my nephew did, 15,000 over list price, straight in, no nothing. And we don't know if it was presented or not, but it was sold by the listing agent the day we turned our offer in for $250 more than our offer. So, did they look at ours? Ours didn't have inspections or appraisal. No, ours was so clean it was scary. We don't know if it was presented or not. We just know that the winning bid was the listing agent $250 more than ours. Kind of, you know, was it done? You know, nobody knows. And we wrote our offer the day before they wrote theirs. So they had my offer 24 hours, and all of a sudden they sold it for $250 more. It's squirrely. I don't like it. I have agents call me all the time. It's the same thing. They've made offers. They can't get them through. They don't know if they've been presented. And there's only two ways to do it, and that's get the agency disclosure signed or the bottom of the contract receipted. That's it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Moving along, professional conduct. This is kind of a fun one to go through. Keller Williams Premier is governed by the Ohio Department of Commerce, the Division of Real Estate, and the National Association of Realtors, and the Columbus Realtors, state and federal government, Ohio Association of Realtors. And the bottom line is really simple. It's all about fair housing, civil rights, and real estate law. That is the reason it's been highly recommended to take those classes every year. You don't have to. The requirement's every 3 years, but I'm going to tell you should take it every year. Because in the event you are accused of a fair housing or civil rights claim, you are now 100% liable for the legal costs to defend your license, my license, the brokerage, and if you're found guilty that you have committed a violation, responsible for all fines, penalties, and legal costs. Now, we had one that was close. It wasn't a violation, but it was close to being one that we were absolved, no problems. We did what we were supposed to do, and it was all good on our part. But I was scared because I thought that was going to go to a fair housing complaint. It's good, all good. Don't get me wrong. But the retainer fee for that attorney alone was $10,000. So just treat everybody the same. Everybody gets consistently the same treatment, the same everything. But that's the reason you have to stay on top of the civil rights and fair housing, especially because it's changing. And this coronavirus thing is making it worse. So just
Tom,
top of it.
can you speak more about what happened in that situation? I mean, how close was it? I mean, you're calling it close. What can you talk about what happened?
I can only say that it was in the same general terms of presenting the offer. An offer was accepted, and somebody claimed that their offer wasn't presented, and there was no proof that it was or wasn't. And we got it. We finally got proof that it was presented, but the people just got really upset really quick. And with fair housing and civil rights, anybody can make the phone call to the Department of HUD. You can pick up the phone call today. They make the phone call, they file the complaint. It doesn't cost them $1, but it will immediately cost us a lot. that's the reason that when you submit your offers, you need to follow up and make sure that they were received. We had the email saying ours was received. We just didn't know that if it was presented or not. We're all good. We did what we were supposed to do. We weren't at fault, but that listing agent screwed up. So there you go. You always want to look out for the best interests of your client. And that's how you do it. You follow up on that offer. You make sure the offer's been received. And I'd even go as far as asking if it was presented. You're not going to get an answer because some of these agents aren't going to respond. They're just going to tell you that we received it. There you go. All right. We as a company will always seek to understand what happened and settle all matters before taking legal action. Sue and I and Chris will always listen to the story. There's always two sides, maybe three sides to a story anymore. In the event of a claim of civil rights or fair housing is made, the three of us will intervene immediately, and we will make the decision on what course of action needs to be taken. It's your responsibility to notify me of any potential issues that may occur. So if you get into a nasty situation or something's not going right, speak up. I'd rather know early than late, because 99% of the time I can get them resolved fairly easy, fairly quickly. If any of you know me on a personal level, I'm a pretty nice guy to deal with, but I'm straight business. I'll take it to the bottom line really, really fast. And we get them done. That's not the problem. But we need to know. And if we don't know and it does happen, we have to go into the defense mode. It's kind of hard. So there you go. Always tell me. Excuse me. All right, moving along. We have a culture that we live within. It's called the W14C2Ts. It's on the wall in our office. It's a belief system, but really what that boils down to is we treat everybody fairly. We treat everybody the same, and we're nice and kind to the staff. So just keep in mind that everybody is the same, and there's no reason for anybody to yell, scream, or get mad at anybody in a transaction. Just keep it calm, cool, and collected. All right, if you have an area of expertise, most of you, all of you are licensed to sell houses and vacant land. Now, past that, if you get into apartments, commercial, gas stations, carryouts, you need to receive permission from me and or Chris or Sue if you can do something out of your normal expertise. It is our policy that the agents must have a level of competency in the transaction they're trying to get into, and that level is acceptable competency is 3 closed transactions in the last 2 years. So if you've sold 3 gas stations in the last 2 years and they closed, you want to do another one? Fine. If you have not, you need to get me and Chris and Sue involved, and we'll make the determination if we're going to do it. Again, that's a malpractice issue. We need to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. And if you don't know, don't do it. Excuse me. Realtors will attend and finish training that the team leader requests. So if you're asked to take a class, if you're recommended to go to a contract class, go. And you're also required to meet with me once a year to do this broker risk class. And if you cannot do that, then we'll have to have a one-on-one. But once a year, we have to go over this. Now, we're going to have another contract class. We've asked Tracy Chambers to do it, and I would tell everybody in this company to listen in on that. She's very good at her contracts. We need to be proficient in contracts. So if you haven't taken her class, when it's announced, I would recommend you go do that one. Consumer guides, everybody knows that is the first thing you do when you talk with somebody new. If you even mention the word buying a house or let's go look at this house, you need to have that consumer guide signed. You need to keep it in your file. It has to be the first document signed, and you have to maintain that record for 3 years. we have to maintain our records for 3 years, so do you. And that includes copies of emails, faxes, text messages, or any communication that you receive any way that's related to the purchase of that house. You have to keep that. That's a full audit situation, and if it ever happens, they have the right to see it. And I would really like to stop using text messages in the part of negotiating contracts. So the text message is nothing. The signature is everything. So just keep those records. Also, the realtor acknowledges that time is of the essence in the negotiations. Truly, when you're talking about buying and selling houses today, you have to stay on top of it. You just can't blow people off, not intentionally, but if they want to make an offer, you do the offer. You don't wait 3 or 4 hours. Time is of the essence, and you need to explain that to your clients. Also, when you sell a house, and most of you already do, we have suggested, and I think we actually have it in .loop, a timeline. And it's a calendar of events or a timeline of things that have to happen, like inspection dates, loan approvals, appraisal dates. Use that timeline and follow it. Because I can almost tell you that every house that's sold, there's at least one backup, and they're waiting for the first one to die. And if it dies natural death, nothing you can do about it. Just follow your timeline. All right. Listings shall be put into the MLS within 24 hours of signing, unless it's an office exclusive. If you do an office exclusive, you're not advertising, you're not putting it in the MLS. But the second you put that sign up, it's got to be in the MLS within 24 hours. If not, the MLS fine, I think, starts off at $500 and it jumps up to $2,500. All listings have to be in the MLS within 24 hours of any kind of advertising. So you throw it on social media, you send me an email about it, or you send Chris one, whatever. It's got to be in there. They are watching that one. All contracts, listings shall be submitted to me within 48 hours after signing, even if they're not complete. If you sell a house, you list a house, send the file in. And then we have electronic record that we have that file. Okay, is that crystal clear? Good.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Question on the new contract or confirmation, maybe. Can you just, so now the new contract has, let's say I get a list exclusive buy sellers agent agreement contract signed today. And the agreement specifically says on it when it's going to be the MLS, when showings are going to start, because that's the new contract. The way I interpreted what you said earlier is that we have to have an office exclusive if the actual listing date in the MLS is later than the signing date of the contract.
Okay, you described two different things. A delayed showing is, I'll clarify this. A delayed showing is you list it today and you start showing it a week from now. Okay, that means it's in the MLS. Office exclusive means the only place it is in our files. It's not publicly known that house is for sale except to the agents of Keller Williams Premier. But the second you advertise it or put a sign up, it has to go in the MLS, and that office exclusive now is waived.
So I understand that. I guess my question is, if I sign or if seller X signs a contract with me today to be listed in MLS next week, do I have to have, I understand the advertising piece, but do I have to have an office exclusive or a delayed showing signed as well?
Office exclusive in that case. Here's the thing, if you don't have the office,
Intuitively, that doesn't make any sense. I thought that's why they changed the new contract. So all that was in there.
they left that in there. If you list a house today to go into the MLS November the 1st, for example, that means that up until November 1st, you don't have a contract. They can list it with anybody they want, sell it, they can do whatever they want until it contract goes into effect on the 1st. But if you do an office exclusive, it goes in, it's in place the day it's signed. So you can do an office exclusive today and throw it in a file and don't touch it for 3 weeks.
Okay, but technically I don't have to do one. I mean, I could technically.
But you don't have anything until the day it goes in effect.
Okay, well, that's that. I just wanted the clarification point was because I think that's a bit confusing. I mean, I thought that's the whole reason they did the contract the way they did it. So,
well, what they did was try to get rid of what's called a pocket listing. They want all listings publicly available. Okay, but the seller can direct it not to be made public, and that's what an office exclusive is. So the public doesn't know my house is for sale. I don't have to tell anybody. I just can't advertise it. But if I want to advertise it, I have to make it publicly available.
gotcha.
All right, moving on. A hold harmless addendum is in .loop, and that is to be used if you write a house as is, you waive the inspection, you waive the remedies, you get all that stuff. Appraisals, inspections, warranties, there's 4 different categories. If in your contract that stuff happens or you put it in there, you have to have that hold harmless agreement. That is a secondary level of protection for you and for me, that the people know if they buy it as is with no remedy or as is no warranty, it's as is. It's real simple. And along with that, we do not practice law, so we can't tell them the ramifications. We can just tell them this is what it means. That's the reason we have that hold harmless addendum. Now, with all that being said, the realtor, you guys, are ultimately responsible for the paper you write, the contracts you write. Having a real estate license is a responsibility, but it gives you the independent contractor status. You're responsible for your clients and to your own actions, including how you write your contracts. Now, my responsibility is to see that they are compliant, but I'm also telling you, you have the freedom to write your own paper. So if you write in your paper that 2 and 2 is 5, that's not a right or wrong, but you're responsible for writing that in there. I know that's a silly way of saying it, but you're responsible for the way you write your contracts. I'm responsible to make sure they're compliant. There's 2 different parts of this. So just write your contracts clean and simply. This came up, and this is the way it is. The seller has a right to insist that only pre-qualified prospects view their property. If a seller wants pre-qualified people only, it needs to be made known to everyone in writing at the time of the listing and put into the agent remarks, pre-qualified buyers only. Okay? If a realtor refers a client to any service-related company, mortgage company, home inspectors, whatever, you need at least 2. You have to give out 2 referrals, and with the exception of mortgage companies, we would require 3. Give people choices. Okay. Also, prior to any documents being signed by a client, the realtors have the responsibility to thoroughly explain them. This is a division thing. You just can't send them through .loop and tell them to sign them. You have to explain. There's no defense for a client saying, hey, they said sign the document. They didn't explain it. I didn't read it. I just signed it. So you are responsible to explain your contract documents. And I would tell you to do that carefully. Also, a realtor should never communicate with the client of a cooperating agent. So if you're the selling agent and the buyer broker's client calls, refer them back to their agent. Do not talk with them. Be kind, be courteous and polite, but do not talk with them about that transaction. You do not have the right to do that. Even if they call you, send them back to their agent. And last in this paragraph, it's real simple. You do not talk with managers or brokers. I do. So if you get somebody from ERA, for example, their broker calls and starts yelling at you, just hang up. Or tell them to call me directly. It's broker to broker, agent to agent. You can talk to the agent, but not to the managers or the brokers. They're supposed to talk to me. and it'll save you a lot of grief and aggravation. All right, we're almost done. Leadership roles and responsibilities. The operating partner in this case is Sue Parrish. She runs the company and she's in charge of investor relations. Principal broker is me. My responsibility is compliance issues, contracts, rules, and regulations set forth by the Ohio Division of Real Estate, and I'm your first line of defense. Team leader, which is Chris. She deals with compliance issues with me, office growth, profitability, and day-to-day agent communications and recruiting. Kristen, the MCA, does records, accounting, day-to-day office procedures, works in conjunction with the operating partner, Chris, and myself. That's what we do. Earnest money. If you write a contract and you put on their earnest money, that earnest money has to be in Kristen's hands within 48 hours. You have to get it. Do not copy checks into .loop with the account numbers. I never want to see an account number on a check. I can't. Just don't do that. And the same thing goes with fuzzy family letters. We beat this to death. We're going to say it again. We will not accept a file with a family fuzzy letter that shows pictures of the buyer, their kids, why they bought the house. That is a fair housing and also a civil rights violation. We do not want to see fuzzy letters. So if you send me a fuzzy letter, I'm going to send the file back. Client confidentiality, that goes without saying.
I have a question.
Sure.
What's a fuzzy letter?
That's that one that comes with the offer saying, my name's Tom Trigg and I really love your garage and that's the reason I'm buying your house. Please accept my offer.
Okay.
I see him with pictures of the dogs, the kids. I see him with recipes. I don't want any personal information about the buyer or the seller in that contract.
Okay.
Just even if they send it to you, you can throw it away. I don't want to see it. Those are becoming a real problem. Because the seller makes the decision on which contract that they accept based on the financial of it, terms and conditions and the money.
Copy.
On the fact that they've got a Labrador Retriever and a kitty cat. So just family fuzzy letters, new. Moving on, client confidentiality. Everything your client tells you is to be held in confidence. You're not supposed to communicate anything like that to the title company, over the internet, text, emails, phone. Everything's in confidence. Just remember that is the way it is. Now, the only person that you can share that information with is me because I see the file. So the principal broker only does have the ability to talk with you about something in the transaction. But other than that, nobody else. It has to be held in confidence. Advertising requirements, including social media, everything. Bottom line is you have to have our company logo. It has to be prominent. Highly recommend putting the equal opportunity logo on there just to be on the safe side. And if you have any questions all about your advertising, take it to me or to Chris. We'll handle it for you. You will delete off your private sites, websites, or social media, whatever, any of your listings that have gone into contract and closed within a week of that date. So you cannot have a closed house on internet over 7 days. It's got to come off. 48 hours out of the MLS, but it has to be off all advertising media within 7 days. Use the realtor trademark as long as fair housing symbol, pretty much on all your business cards, mailings, anything you do, you probably should have those two things. But the most important one is the fair housing symbol. But I'll tell you to use the realtor one too. Creating files. This is a real long list, but I'm going to make it real simple. Everything you do with a house, every piece of paper, every fax, every email, every text message, you have to keep that file for 3 years from the date of closing. Okay. Um, that's subject to an audit, and I have to keep it as well. But you have to too, because they can audit you separately and me separately. It's 3 years, and it is not to be taken lightly. That is for sure. This company, real estate agents can determine their own commission fees under the guidance of the team leader. We have to have that dollar minimum, but we prefer to obviously make money, but we also want to stress that I can't tell you what to charge people. I just can only tell you that it's $1. We have to have that. The real estate teams, if you're on a team, problems come up, you talk with your team lead first. Then they will call me, or you can call me, but I want you to talk with team leads. I want you to have a team lead agreement, which I'm pretty sure we have everybody on one. And I want to make sure that everybody understands the terms of that. The office policy on teams is team leads are responsible for you as well as me. So if you're on a team, make sure you got your stuff where you want it. The office policy for just general operations is everything is secured. So when you leave the building, make sure the lights are off, the doors are locked. You have the responsibility to read and understand our company policy, which you just received. And you also know that you have to meet with me once a year. And also have Keller Williams Premier Realty LLC as named insured on your car policy in case you get into an accident with a client in your car. Very few people drive their clients anymore, but if you do, make sure that we are on there. If you refer people out to other agents outside of Ohio, whatever, make sure you get a referral agreement. Make sure it's signed by everybody involved. It's me, the broker, the salesperson. You can accept whatever you want as far as the referral fee goes. Just make sure you have a copy of it. And if they refuse to give you a copy of it, you tell me and I will call them. But you need to get that so we can make sure you get paid. Lock boxes, it's real simple. If it's an occupied house that gets a Supra, we will not put combination lock boxes on a house that somebody is living in. This may void the homeowner's insurance policy in the case of a theft and also may be considered malpractice on our part. So combination lock boxes on vacant houses, okay. But if it's occupied, no. It is absolutely prohibited by the Ohio Division of Real Estate to give out lockbox codes or keypad information to anybody that is non-licensed. Do not give that out. That's an instant and immediate suspension of your license. It happens really, really quick. Do not give out lockbox codes. Now, pictures and video and surveillance. Photographs are not to be taken of a home without the consent of the listing agent. So if you're in a house, your clients cannot take videos or pictures. You cannot either, unless you have written permission from the listing agent. Real estate agents that list houses for sale are required to use the surveillance addendum found in Loop and Command, especially since nowadays everybody has a Ring doorbell. Inside, outside, if you've got surveillance and you're recording people, you have to disclose, because if you don't, that's considered a civil rights violation. Now, if you have a security system in the house and it is on, or there's video or audio, and even if it is disclosed, you have to put a sign in the house that says that surveillance is in use. Are we clear as mud on that one? I will give you the best practices. When you're in a house, showing a house, just assume you're being listened to and you're being recorded. I tell all my clients that I show houses to, we will not discuss that house at all inside, because there's a good chance you're being recorded. Okay. Sellers must inform that they can be informed that they cannot record audio without first getting permission from the buyer broker or the client prior to showing the house. So if your seller insists on recording, then we have to get permission from the people coming in. It's a civil rights violation. And again, that sign needs to be in a prominent place. when you list a house for sale, that is a question you need to ask. Are there security cameras? Is there audio anywhere, inside, outside? You need to know. It's an expensive fine. Almost done. Ohio Division of Real Estate Investigations. This is a new thing, and I'm just wherever it's worth. If for any reason you are investigated by the Ohio Division of Real Estate, Realtor acknowledges that all electronic devices, including but not limited to computers, phones, tablets, can be seized by the investigator without warning and held until the investigation is complete, and that could take a long time. So that's the reason we try to get all of our issues handled up front and quickly. But keep in mind, if they walk in and they take everything you own, they can't. If it's a fair housing violation or whatever it is, if you're being investigated, you will know. So when you know, you call me or Sue or Chris. But that's the reason I have 3 computers and I keep everything backed up everywhere. Just in case I have to turn over something, I have a backup. Okay, last thing on my list, and I'll take questions for a few minutes. When an agent departs from Keller Williams, the brokerage has the right to recover past dues, E&O deductibles that may apply, and any legal costs or fines they may have. That amount will be deducted from the next commission check or charged to the credit card on file. When agents join and or leave, we as a company have an onboard and an exit policy. That's what we do. So it's nice and clean. We will pay out the commissions. I wish you the best of luck, but that's how it's done. It is done fairly quick. All right. You've been sent a copy of this. You need to sign it and send it back. That's your acknowledgement that you received it and that you listened to me for an hour. We have a couple of other things that will be coming out in the next week or so that we will give that to everybody at the same time. But is it any questions? I know that was quick, but I promised to be done in an hour. So I've got about 10 minutes left. I can answer any questions you like. Somebody asked me a question. Okay, you're muted for some
I am muted. I'm not muted anymore though. I don't really have anything right now. I just the information. I'm probably going to go ahead and read through it all. I'll probably have some questions, but right now I'm pretty sure I understand everything that you were laying down.
All right, well, it's pretty simple. You can call me anytime. I use my cell phone. I actually have a home phone number. We use that for all the junk calls. But you can call me pretty much anytime. I'm the easiest one to reach. If you can't get me, obviously you can call Chris. But after 7 o'clock at night, there's usually nothing that can't wait till the next day. So call. I'd rather you call and ask than do something and regret it the next day. That's all. After doing this for 45 years, I know one thing for sure, and that is if you get into a jam, it will happen, but it can get resolved fairly quick. Anybody else?
Just one quick thing. I just want to make sure I got this correct. On social media, when we share a listing, as soon as that closes, those pictures need to come down. Did I hear that correctly? But can we still leave, the pictures of like us with the clients at closing and I'm sold kind of thing?
The listing has to come down within 7 days of closing. Okay.
Okay.
You can still have your picture and your client's stuff in there, but anything related to that listing has to come off.
Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem. Anything else? How about you, Mr. Collins? You haven't spoken up today. He's on mute.
I know you just wanted to check and see if I was really paying attention.
Well, since I couldn't hear you, pal, I'm assuming you say I'm great and wonderful, and there you go.
Thank you, sir. Good stuff, pal. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, anybody? I know that was boring. I know that was quick. That's just the mandate that I have to do that. If you ever have any questions whatsoever, feel free to call me. And there you go. And we'll be doing this show